Shir lamalot, Esa einai el harim, me'ayin yavo Ezri, me'im Adonai, Osei shamayim v'aretz, Ayitein lamod raglecha, Al yanum shomrecha, Hine lo yanum velo yishon, Shomer Yisrael, Adonai shomrecha, Adonai tzilcha al yad yeminecha, Yomam hashemesh lo yakeka, ve'yareach balayla, Adonai yishmorcha mikora, yishmor et nafshecha, Adonai yishmor tzedcha uvolecha, me'ata ve'ad olam. From Psalm 121, we read, I lift my eyes to the mountains, from where will my help come? My help comes from Adonai, creator of heaven and earth. God will not let your foot give way, and your guardian will not slumber. See, the guardian of Israel neither slumbers nor sleeps. Adonai is your guardian, your protection at your right hand. By day the sun will not strike you, nor the moon by night. Adonai will guard your life, and Adonai will guard your soul, your going and your coming, now and forever.
Eloheinu v'Elohei Avotenu, our God and God of all generations, Thou who governest all things with infinite wisdom and mercy, who guidest the destinies of all of humankind. As a parent have you loved us and showered your blessings upon us. Therefore we shall not murmur even when sorrow befalls us, but with humility and unfaltering trust we shall accept your decrees. In joy and in sorrow alike we praise your goodness and acknowledge your justice. We remember that we are but strangers upon earth. Like a shadow, our life flees away. Help us, O God, so to walk in your sight. When the few years of our earthly pilgrimage are ended, we may be ready to meet our end with tranquil mind. To thee we look for comfort and strength. And one of our beloved is taken from us, and a link is broken in the chain of love which binds us together. Though we walk in the valley of the shadow of death, we shall fear no evil, for you are with us. Praised, O eternal our God, in all your dispensations. Sanctified be your name now and forevermore. Love these words from the poet. You've all heard them so many times, but I think they ring very, very true today. Birth is a beginning and death is a destination. But life itself is a journey, a going, a growing from stage to stage. from childhood to maturity and from youth to age, from innocence to awareness and from ignorance to knowing, from foolishness to discretion, and then perhaps to wisdom, from weakness to strength, or from strength to weakness, and often back again, from health to sickness, and back we pray to health again, from offense to forgiveness, from loneliness to love, from joy to gratitude, from pain to compassion, from grief to understanding, and from fear to faith. From defeat to defeat until looking backward or ahead, we see that victory lies not at some high place along the way, but in having made the journey, stage by stage, a sacred pilgrimage. Birth is a beginning, and death is a destination. Life itself is a journey, a sacred pilgrimage made stage by stage, from birth to death, to life that is everlasting. This time I'd like to call upon granddaughter Lauren Friedman Suits to share some thoughts on behalf of the family. The two of them.
I'm Lauren, and Ellen is my grandmother, or as I and all of her other grandchildren called her, Gaga. I'd actually like to start this eulogy with an apology, one that is long overdue. Gaga, I'm sorry that as your first grandchild, that I was the one who bestowed you with the name Gaga. I will never forget referring to you as Gaga in public on one of our annual back-to-school shopping sprees, and watching you dutifully explain to every dressing room attendant that Gaga was just what your grandchildren called you, while rolling her eyes. Despite her less than secret distaste for her given title of Gaga, she never held it against me as her only and therefore favorite granddaughter. She always made me feel extra special and spoiled. One of my favorite shopping memories with her was when I was moving into my first apartment sophomore year of college. We went to Bed Bath & Beyond and picked out a bunch of new stuff for the apartment, and of course, we couldn't leave without beautiful paper guest towels to display in the powder room for anyone that may come visit. She was always classy, but I'm pretty sure those paper guest towels went untouched until I graduated. Gaga and Pa, of course, were also all about sharing and creating experiences for us. We went to endless theater shows, fancy restaurants. I'll never forget firing up my own creme brulee back in the kitchen at Strings, starting at age 5? But most special were the trips Gaga and I went on. She took me to Chicago for my 16th birthday. We ate amazing food, saw some wonderful theater productions, and I got my first city haircut, which was horrendous. But for more obvious reasons, our trip to San Francisco for my 21st birthday was my absolute favorite. Not only did we do our usual dinner and show circuit, but we wandered and explored the magical city I now call home. This trip with my Gaga unveiled a path from my life that I didn't know existed. I fell in love with the city of San Francisco that trip. The people, the vibe, the bars, the restaurants, the theater district, the whole town. And I decided that I needed to live there when I graduated. 15 years later, I have her to thank for the experience that led me to creating my magical life in that big city. And 15 years later, she'd still be taking credit, and my dad's still blaming her for it. My brother Brandon, who couldn't be here today, wanted to be sure I share a few words on his behalf as well. Gaga was genuinely engaged when spending time together, eager to know what was happening in our lives and how our relationships were going. Her interests made me feel valued and connected, and I will always cherish those moments. Our Gaga hasn't been her kind but sassy, vibrant self for quite some time. And yes, I say sassy, not just because that's her dog's name, but because anyone that lives and puts up with the Friedman men and their senses of humor for an extended period of time requires a certain level of sass. and a metric ton of patience. I've hated watching her lose her fire. But at the same time, I'm so endlessly grateful to have had her around for so long enough even to spend some time with her great-granddaughter over the past 3 years. Ellen is already incorporated into Noah's middle name, Ilana, namesaked forever. And while losing her now, shortly before her second great-granddaughter is born, adds an extra layer of poignant grief to an already somber moment. But I'm choosing to lean into the fact that there is something beautifully poetic about bringing another soul into this world shortly after one leaves. So I'd like to end my eulogy with another apology. I watched the Disney film Coco the other day with my first daughter, Noah, and I was reminded of the fact that in many cultures, someone is never really gone so long as there are people around who remember them. So Gaga, I'm sorry that your name will stay with you for another generation, because while I hope this baby remembers she's a native San Franciscan at least until tomorrow night, I can't wait to bring her earthside so soon and tell her all about her great Gaga.
Again, many of you have been here many times before, but I think I'm going to talk just a little bit about the 23rd Psalm, which is used so often at moments like this. And I know many of you have heard this before, but I think it's especially true right now, especially for this family right now. I learned a long time ago when I was in rabbinical school, it was a very long time ago, that King David, who is the author of the book of Psalms, supposedly had something in mind, giving advice to a family when it's read. And it says, "Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death." And that's the reason that we use it so often at funerals. But he didn't just want to lift up the valley of the shadow of death. He was trying to give some real advice to a family. And I think especially at this time with this family, it's especially true. Don't get stuck in the valley of the shadow of death. Walk through it. As difficult as it may be, you have all kinds of people who are bringing comfort, or that's what they want to bring to you. It's not just to bring comfort to you as a family. It's to sort of push you along so that you walk through that valley. And it takes time. But it is, as Lauren just said, as long as somebody is still remembered, that's their immortality. So we're going to call now upon the Cantor to chant the words of the 23rd Psalm.
Adonai roi lo echsor bino deshe yarbitzeini al mei menuchot al mei menuchot yenaleni nafshi yeshovem yeshovem yancheni v'maglei tzedek yancheni v'maglei tzedek lemon shemo gam ki elech begit zalmaven lo שבטך ומשענתך המה ינחמוני. תערוך לפני שולחן נגד צורריי. דשנת ושמן ראשי כוסי רוויה. אך טוב וחסד ירדפוני כל ימי חיי, כל ימי חיי, ושבתי בבית אדוני לאורך ימים. אדוני רואי לא אחסר, אדוני רואי לא אחזור. If you have the English with you, you are welcome to read along with me. Some of you may also know this by heart. Psalm 23, God is my shepherd, I shall not want. God makes me lie down in green pastures, leads me beside still waters, and restores my soul. You lead me in right paths for the sake of your name. Even when I walk in the valley of the shadow of death, I shall fear no evil, for you are with me. Your rod and your staff, they comfort me. You have set a table before me in the presence of my enemies. You have anointed my head with oil. My cup overflows. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life, and I shall dwell in the house of God forever.
Beloved family, dear friends, I know that there is never an easy way to come to these moments. No matter how often we come together, these are difficult times. And our task, I think, is to place some perspective for ourselves on the life that has gone before us. Some things that we might have learned from her. Some things that we will take to the next generations, because that's what this day is about. And there has been so much loss in this family in these last months. And when the tears come again, they come not just because of this moment, they come because of moments of recent past. We understand that. And we try to be here to be of help to all of you by our presence. There is nothing that I or anybody else can say that's going to take the pain of loss away. And whether that loss was months ago or weeks ago or days ago, that pain is still there. And each of you as a family, each of you has to walk through that moment and look towards the end and look towards the memories and lift them up, because that's what keeps our loved ones alive. And that's not just rhetoric. It's true. All of us who are here, when we start to think about our own loved ones who are many years gone, we think about their strengths. Oh, they had weaknesses too. We all have them. But we think about their strengths and what we want to give to the next generation. And I believe that that's what our purpose is here for. That's why we come together. Not just to grieve. It's to grieve with a purpose. And there are no easy times, even when it's bittersweet, as we say so often. And this is a bittersweet time. Bitter because she's been taken from us, but sweet because maybe finally the pain, not just of these last few years with her memory issues, but these many years of her physical difficulties, maybe that's finally come to an end. And so there is some sweetness to this moment. I remember some years ago, I read this poem, and I know this is going to sound crazy, but I remember Ellen coming up to me afterwards and saying, I like that. I think she understood instinctively what this was about. The poet wrote, I often feel that death is not the enemy of life, but its friend. For it is the knowledge that our years are limited which makes them so precious. It is a truth that time is but lent to us, which makes us at our best look upon our years as a trust handed into our temporary keeping. We are like children privileged to spend a day in a great park, a park filled with many gardens and playgrounds and azure-tinted lakes with white boats sailing upon the tranquil waves. True, the day allotted to each one of us is not the same in length, in light, or in beauty. Some children of earth are privileged to spend a long and sunlit day. For others, the day is shorter and cloudier, and dusk descends more quickly as in a winter's tale. But whether our life is a long summery day or a shorter wintry afternoon, we know that inevitably there are storms and squalls which overcast even the bluest heaven, and there are sunlit rays which pierce even the darkest autumn sky. The day that we are privileged to spend in the great park of life is not the same for all human beings. But there is enough beauty and joy and gaiety in some of the hours. We will but treasure them. Then for each one of us, the moment comes when the great nurse death takes woman the child by the hand and quietly says, it's time to go home. Night is coming. It is your bedtime, child of earth. Come, you're tired. Lie down at last in the quiet nursery of nature and sleep. Sleep well. The day is gone. Ellen had 88 years of life. The day is gone. And now we are here to mourn with all of you and hope by our presence we help lift you up and give you some comfort and give you some hope, especially for this family which has suffered so much in the last years. She lived to the end of her life. She understood so much of what was happening to her, maybe even more than we realized. So it's our task to remember who she was, for all of us, to have hope, And also, as Lauren so beautifully said, it's our task to keep her alive so that in a very real way you can transmit who she was, not just to the next grandchild, but to the next generation, because she was a special human being. That each of us can be reminded of who she was so they can bring her to life, because that's what this day is about. Our task is not only to live long, which we hope will happen, which she did, but to leave a legacy. And she did that as well. Let me just share a few things that I think about and family shared with me. Because she was a unique lady in so many ways. First thing, as I said to Shell, first thing I remember is her smile. And it was in the picture that was given to the Feldmans to put in the paper. It's a great smile. She was bright. She was intelligent. She had a great sense of humor. She was a thinker. She didn't just live life. She thought about what it was that was going on. We all know that she was born and raised here. And I have to say that I've been thinking about this all night. It must have been a challenge for the two of you. Isaacson Rosenbaum, as a name, is not just a law firm. It was more than that. Because during the war and right after the war, doctors and lawyers had a very, very hard time. And maybe that's why she was involved in Rose Hospital. Because Rose Hospital got started about the same time, now give or take a few years. But Isaacson Rosenbaum was that law firm that was the quintessential Jewish law firm in town. And I think the two of you had a special responsibility because of that. And I think you both knew that. She met Shell. Obviously, his plan, as we all know, was to become a lawyer, which he did. And they shared time together. And then his last year in law school, he was at DU, and she planned the wedding. And it was important. They got married. They had a wonderful time. And she, together with others in the family, made sure that there was a positive way to begin life together. Yes, she worked in the early years, and then Brad came, and then David of blessed memory came. But her intensity was something we will all remember, because she was intense. Yeah, she had a great sense of humor. We know that. But she could also be very serious. And I know that I have been on the short end of her seriousness from time to time. Is that why you were going to call me, Linda? But she was a very intense person. She didn't just let things pass. She was honest, and she spoke her mind. I love this about her, Brad, that you shared. She was competitive. Well, I guess we all knew that, but I didn't know that she was competitive even when it came to Scrabble. I mean, I understand gin and tennis and maybe cards with her friends, but Scrabble? She had this intensity about her that carried into the way in which she tried to live. No matter who she played with, they were friends, they were a part of her family. She wanted to win. And if she didn't, up goes the table. She understood the complexities of life. And life is complex. And especially, I think, for her, because of the fact that there was this history in Denver. There was this history for the law firm. And they were in a special place. This was not just an ordinary family. These were people who really made a difference. Oh, she loved to volunteer, and she volunteered at Rose and at the temple. And those of you who were at the temple all those years, she was in 2 follies. And Shell, she made you dance in the follies too. And we all danced together. It's part of her sisterhood commitment. They loved travel. They loved ports of call. They loved cruises. They loved New York. She taught Shell about theater. They loved the DCPA. These are all important parts of who she was as a human being. And with all of the difficulties that she had in the last number of years, and I don't just mean the last 2 or 3, she had those physical difficulties. One thing that the family came to agree on, she didn't complain about it. It wasn't, woe is me. She tried to live through all those difficulties, tried to give something back to her family. She was also the person who tried to reach out to individuals in the family in different ways. And you all made that very clear yesterday. And whether it was you, Laurie, or Michelle, grandchildren, taking them on special trips. And I do think that the one thing that she would regret, or did regret, was taking you to San Francisco so that you would wind up staying there. She wanted you close to home. She was a loyal friend. And many of you are here because of that loyalty. She tried to make other people feel important. Even her caregiver. That's who she was. And that's what she tried to do in her life. And that's what I hope we will all take away from this day. Not just to remember. But you know, when we come to a place like this and we listen to words about others, it's not just to listen to them, it's to try to integrate them into our own lives. That's how we give immortality. It's not just enough to listen. Maybe we get changed a little bit ourselves. She wanted her relationships with people to be special. And she tried to do that. And so to all of you as family, Sherry, difficult time this is for you. We know that. Michelle, we can't honestly just say it's okay. She lost a son, your husband, your dad, guys. And that was hard, even though she was in the last stage of that memory decline. She understood it in some mysterious way. Linda, your sister, known her for so long. You had great times together, and I'm sure that you argued with each other over. Maybe you even shared sweaters. I have no idea. The point is, you had those years together with your parents of blessed memory. Brad and Laurie, all those years that you've been together, sharing with her joys and sorrows, because they are all part of the life that we have. Michelle, you and David too, all those years together. There have to be wonderful, wonderful ways in which you will remember who she was in her highest moments of living. And Shell, You've been her helper for all these years. You've been together 66 years. It's a long time. By any stretch of the imagination, it's a long time. But you were her loyal caregiver too. You wanted to make sure that she was comfortable, even though you understood that you were losing her. May you find strength in all those good years. And may you find strength even in those times that weren't so good, that you managed to get together and be together. Because that's what 66 years of living together is all about. And so for all of you in this wonderful family and all of her friends, we truly hope and pray that you will find strength in this moment. And maybe these words from the poet, maybe they'll be helpful. The poet wrote, "There are stars above so far away we only see their light, long, long after the star itself is gone. And so it is with people that we loved. Their memories keep shining ever brightly, though their time with us is done. The stars that light up the darkened night, these are the lights that guide us as we live our days. These are the ways we will remember." Adonai natan v'Adonai lakach. Yishem Adonai mevarach me'atav yad olam. God has given. God has taken away. Praise be the name of God now and forevermore. Let us all say together.
When I spoke to Brad over the weekend and asked if there was a piece of music that might be appropriate for Ellen's memory, I have to tell you that I was really touched when you came back and you asked if I could sing the song "Wind Beneath My Wings" by Bette Midler. And I say that I was touched because it's a really beautiful, sweet thing to think about, that after 66 years of marriage, that this is still the sentiment that you want to share. That is hard. It's hard to remember to say these really intensely beautiful words to someone who has become totally enmeshed in the fabric of your life. And that this is the sentiment that you want to share is very inspirational for all of us here. And so I thank you for that. But also to remember that at this moment, when we are in a holiday that celebrates both comfort and safety, but also fragility, that it's this kind of love and dedication that can help us feel secure all the time. So thank you. And in tribute to Ellen, we sing these words, "Wind Beneath My Wings." Must have been cold there in my shadow, to never have sunlight on your face. You were content to let me shine, that's your way. You always walked a step behind. So I was the one Well, you were the one with all the strength. Beautiful face without a name for so long. Beautiful smile to hide the pain. Did you ever know that you're my hero? And everything I would like to be. I can fly higher than an eagle, for you are the wind beneath my wings. It might have appeared to go unnoticed, but I've got it all here in my heart. I want you to know I know the truth. I would be nothing without you. Did you ever know that you're my hero? And everything I would like to be. I can fly higher than an eagle, for you are the wind beneath my wings. I can fly higher than an eagle, for you are the wind beneath my wings. At this time, I'm going to ask that we all rise as we are able for the memorial prayer. El Mahle Rachamim Shochen Bamromim Hamsei Menucha Nechona Tachat Kanfei Ashchina Im Kedoshim Unorim Kezohar Harakia Mashirim and Nishmat El Kagila Barinda Shalacha Leolama Borachamim Yostirea Beseter Kanafav Leolamim V'yitzror b'yitzror hachayim et nishmato Adonai hu nachalata v'tanuach b'shalom al mishkava v'nomar amen.
God, full of compassion, eternal Spirit of the universe, grant perfect rest in your sheltering presence to Ellen Gale Friedman, who has entered into eternity. O God of mercy, let her find refuge in your eternal presence, and let her soul be bound up in the bond of eternal life. Be thou her possession, and may her repose ever be peace. And let us say together, Amen. Be seated. I thought you were going to do that.
Ladies and gentlemen, this does conclude our service here at Temple Emanuel. We will have interment at Emanuel Cemetery. We do have an escorted procession today, so if you'd like to join us at the cemetery for interment, we'll ask you to return to your cars as quickly as possible, and please have your hazards on. Your lights will most likely be on because of the dark clouds that are out there and the rain that is happening. So please have your hazards on. If we can ask you to please refrain from coming forward and speaking with the family, that would delay them in getting to the cemetery. And they'd like to welcome you back here at Temple Emanuel for a reception thereafter. This will be their Shiva. So if you'll come back here immediately after, there'll be refreshments in the Sisterhood Lounge, just outside the small Finer Family Chapel. And they'll be here until about 3:30 this afternoon. If I can ask everyone to please rise again and invite the pallbearers forward as we escort the casket.